This is a help video for South Dakota Assessment Portal. There are three main steps teachers will need to learn in order to use South Dakota Assessment Portal in their classrooms. They are, number one, create a class, number two, create a form and attach it to a test, and number three, schedule the test to the class so that the students can take the test. This video will focus on step two, create a form and attach it to a test. More specifically, we will look at how to take a form that we've already created and attach it to a test. So let's say that we just created a form. In the other video, the form we created was called Algebra 1 Equations. And we also shuffled the item orders and created the form Algebra 1 Equations Shuffled. So what we need to do is take this form and create a test with it. So over here on the right, this blue piece of paper with a white star, if I click that, that will create a test using this form. So if I click that, what it did, it took me from the Forms tab into the Test tab, and it took the form and attached it to my test. So notice that the Algebra 1 Equations form is attached to my test. The name of my test is the exact same. I take out the test colon. It's totally up to you. That way my test and form have the same names. Standards have to be math because that's what we chose for the form. The course, remember I told you to remember the course when you created a class? What I suggest you do is select all courses. That makes it so all of your courses can take this test. Next, you set the window of when this test is available for your students. So I will say it opens on today, which is August 8th. And let's say that the window closes, let's say they have till August 31st. So, or let's give them 2 weeks. So that means that the test will be open for 2 weeks. Students can come in and take their test anytime during this window. And just so you know, once the window closes, then you'll be able to see summary data. And at this time, your students will not be able to take this test anymore. If this happens to you, what you'll have to do is actually create another test using the same form that you used to create this test. Last thing you do on this screen is add existing form. So if I click that, and notice I have my Algebra 1 equations here. The other one that I created was Algebra 1 equations shuffled. So if I select that and click on the X, now notice that I have both of my forms there. That means that half of my students will get the first form, half of my students will get the second form. Once everything looks correct, click Save. And you get the green success bar. Congratulations. And now if I go to the last page, notice that Algebra 1 Equations is at the bottom. It has two forms. It's unpublished. What we must do now is publish it in order for students to take it on the computer. So notice the options over here. You can either edit this test, you can publish it, which is that little guy that looks like he's singing. He has waves coming off of him. Or you can print the test. Printing it, what it does, it takes your test and creates it as a PDF. And it'll put one question per page. So if you have a 5-question test, it'll make it 5 pages. And you always have the option to delete the test. But right now we want our students to take the test on the computer, so I'm going to click on the Publish button. So if I click that, now my test has been published. And the last step in order for your students to take your test is to click here to schedule the test. So if I click there, then I am able to schedule this test for my students to take it. So let's say I select both my forms. On the right side, I choose my class. And here's, you can set the window again. This is if you want to set it for specific times. You can make it so that's only open for a specific period. I'm going to make it so that this is open the entire window. Notice at the bottom you have the option to use single password for all students. The student's username will be their SIMS number, which is in Infinite Campus. This is the exact same number that they use for the Smarter Balance test. It's up to you, and for the password, what it does for the password, it generates a password for the students. For every test, the password will be different. The reason this is because by the password, that is how the program knows what test the student is logging in to take. So for elementary students, you may want to make it so all students have the same password. Then you can simply write it up on the board. High school, for security purposes, you may want to make it so they have different passwords. And let's just say that's what I select right now. Last thing you do is just click on Schedule Test Sessions. And now notice my test is in progress. That means students can now log in to take my test. If I click on View Details, here's all the students' username and passwords. And a really nice thing, if I select all, print student test logins, if I get this PDF, has all their username and passwords, what's really nice about it is the second page, which shows individual tabs for the students. So you as a teacher can cut these out and hand them out to the students, and it gives their username and password. Last thing students will do is log onto the South Dakota Assessment Portal. On the home screen, once your your technology coordinator downloaded the iTester app or the kiosk mode, they will get this on the desktop. Students will click on that and they'll be able to log into their test using that username and password.